to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today with Debbie Wileman, who very soon will be making her West End debut as Judy Garland in I'm Still Here at the Ambassadors Theatre on the 30th of June. How are you today?
Hi, I'm really well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good, no problem at all. As I was just saying before we started there, I was reading your blurb that I get sent about these about guests, and it's incredible. What a story. So just fill us in. I mean, how did all of this happen for you?
Well, yeah, it's really weird. It doesn't sound true, but it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's well documented on the web. You can
Yeah.
actually view it in real time almost.
Yeah.
So basically, I've always loved singing and acting, and that was my dream of what I wanted to do, when I was a youth. And I did a performing arts degree, and before that I'd sung in bands, I'd done session singing for recording studios. I once so people who'd written songs that they wanted recorded, they'd go to this local recording studio in Walthamstow and pay for some like musicians and stuff, or
Yeah.
the producer to record it, and then they'd hire a singer. So
Mm.
I got hired to do that sometimes when I was like 15 and
Oh,
16.
wow.
I once sung this, it was a love song about Darth Vader. Did that
Oh,
once.
niche.
And then some like, yeah, and there was some like demos for the Saturdays and
Oh,
random things like that. So I'd been
wow.
doing things, on and off for
Yeah.
years. And
Yeah.
I did a performing arts degree and, did a few bits and bobs when I left university, little bit of telly, bit of theatre.
Mm.
And, I was like, oh, maybe. And then just didn't really get enough
Yeah.
to be able to do it as a job,
Mm.
because I had to pay bills. And
Yeah.
I tried it for a few years and then I thought, oh, well, I had a good go. That was that.
Yeah.
What can you do,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I sort of had to quit when I was 25 because I needed dosh, basically.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it. And then fast forward many years, many terrible jobs later, the pandemic hit. And by this time
Yeah.
I was a mum. My daughter had just turned 2, happily married. My husband
Yeah.
worked all through the pandemic as well because he works for an IT company.
Okay.
And so I was at home with the little girls thinking, what do I do? Let's make stuff out of boxes. Let's make cakes. I gained about 2.5 stone.
Oh
And
gosh, did we all?
because you make the cakes, then you
Yeah,
eat the
eat
cakes.
them, yes.
And all those early days of, friends saying, I'm doing a Zoom quiz, join in.
Yeah,
And you
God,
drink
yeah.
about half a bottle of Baileys on the Zoom.
Yeah.
But anyway, I decided to, cheer my mates up, basically, that I'd make some singing videos.
Yeah.
And I never would have done it otherwise. I would have thought that's showy offy, like, sing a song. But
Yeah.
the pandemic made you feel a bit differently about that. I saw Gary
Mm.
Barlow do some, so I thought,
Yes,
good
he
enough for
did.
Gary. So I thought I'll sing a song a day. Why not, with
Yeah,
some karaoke backing tracks or whatever?
yeah,
Holding my phone, much like I'm doing right now, because I
yeah.
didn't have a stand. And yeah, I thought I'll sing a different song every day to cheer up my friends.
Yeah.
And I put it on Facebook. Why
Oh,
not?
wow.
And I started doing that. And on day 3, I did an impersonation of Judy Garland because I am a big fan of hers.
Mm.
And when I was at university, my sort of thesis / performance was a show about Judy Garland where I played her because I love her. And when I was a little girl, I sort of discovered that I could do a sort of impersonation of her singing.
Yeah. Mm.
So I did that, and that was one of the sort of few successes I'd had in my early 20s. I did this play that I'd written about Judy at the King's Head Theatre in
Oh, yeah.
Islington. I'd done it there for a week and then for a month, and I'd done it at the Lowry Theatre. And
Mm.
I'd, done bits and bobs. And then, this was like 14 years later or 13 years later,
Yeah.
some of my friends said, oh, on like day 3, you can do some Judy then. Texting.
Yeah.
That was me miming texting.
Yes, exactly.
And I was like, or WhatsApp, really. I'm old, aren't I? Text, WhatsApp. I said, yeah, all right. And I did The Man That Got Away on day 3 of my
Oh,
song
great
a day.
song. Mm.
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah.
one of my favourites to sing. That's why I chose that one to be the first Judy I did.
Yeah.
And I tagged a Judy Garland Facebook group in it because I thought maybe they'd like it. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
You
Yeah.
see, it's a group called the Judy Garland Experience.
Okay.
And then that was that. I carried on posting a different song every day. It wasn't always Judy, it's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And it started to go sort of viral. Not what you want in a virus pandemic, but
Yeah, it's
the good
a
viral.
good virus is okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started getting all these friend requests from people, and people started. I was going, 10,000 people have watched that video. What the hell?
Oh
See
wow.
what? Huh? And it was nuts, but lovely nuts, you know. And
Yeah.
it went on, and more people started watching them, and it was lovely but surprising. And I'm just filming these videos in my car, in car parks, in my
Yeah.
utility room. And it's really nice. It really sort of got me through the pandemic as well. Something that
Yeah.
I did to sort of help other people
Mm.
helped me, because I made lots of lovely connections. People sending me nice messages, and I was like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
And then I started getting like messages from people that were sort of famous and things. And I was like,
Wow.
what? What? And I got eventually contacted by an agent who said he was in Hollywood. And I was like, crazy,
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. This is all in between, doing, there's nothing open, there's no parks. Right, where am I going to take Sadie
Yeah.
today? Right, I've
Yeah.
driven to a random bit of parkland and we're going to run
Yeah.
around for a bit, or
Exactly.
whatever,
Yeah.
So then we'd have these chats. This gentleman called Scott Stander, who said he was an agent in Hollywood, phoned me up. So we're chatting on Messenger,
Yeah.
and he's saying, yeah, I think when this is all over, I'm going to fly you out to LA. And I was like, I was saying to my husband, who's on the,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's being nice.
Yeah.
It happened. And I was like, what? And things just sort of started building, and Scott flew me out to LA in the January of 2021. And it was the first time I met him, and it was early days of being able to fly again. So there was only 10 people on the plane.
Oh,
It
wow.
was really bizarre. So I was there by myself. You had to keep a mask on for the entire 11 hours.
Oh,
And there
God.
was like the entire row that I was on was empty. The entire row in front of me and behind me was empty.
Oh,
It was
bliss.
lovely, actually. You
Yeah.
could lie down, do whatever.
Yeah.
But I went over, met him, lovely bloke, and he's bona fide. I Google searched him, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And not only does he represent, Dancing with the Stars dancers, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and that, he also, which is his passion, represented Julie Newmar, who's Dorcas in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, the original film.
Yeah.
One of the original cat women. I was like, Julie Newmar,
Wow.
Mitzi Gaynor, George Shakiris. Oh, wow. So I went out, and he had me rehearse with a pianist and do a few things with a band to make sorry, that's my alarm going off to tell me I'm meant to be doing an interview.
Okay.
He had me rehearse with the band and stuff, and he said this was a test, to see if you could do it live. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then we started working together more, and more people were watching my videos, and it's just all culminated in this. I did a tour in America for Judy's 100th birthday, and I played Carnegie Hall. Like the first time I ever sang in New York was at Carnegie Hall.
Okay, it's pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
It was just, it's been crazy, and at the same time as this, I'm still mum. I work at Specsavers.
Yeah. Oh,
So
wow.
I do 4 days a week at Specsavers as well. It's really weird but wonderful. I wasn't expecting it, because I didn't make these videos with the intention of like, this will get me whatever.
Yeah.
No, it was just to do something nice and fun, and and I think people can pick up on that, to be honest. I think that's partly why maybe people liked it, because there wasn't a Venmo or,
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
money for it. That
Oh,
wasn't the point
yeah.
of it. It was
Yeah.
just to do something nice.
Mm.
And yeah, it's just been great. It's a surprise. I thought that was it for me. I thought, oh, I tried having a career in that. It didn't
Yeah.
happen.
You
And
just
then now
never know.
yeah, you don't.
Exactly. We might as well just do it, as you say. I mean, if it's just something that you love to do anyway, why not?
Yeah.
Just share your talent with everybody, which has clearly worked because you've got this show now at the Ambassadors Theatre, which is dead exciting. So it's
Oh
called I'm
yeah.
Still. Is this the show called I'm Still Here as well as the
Yes.
album? Yeah. So tell us what we can expect from the show at the Ambassadors.
So, it's like a sort of concert, really, with chatter and with talking. But I've got a fantastic band.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a combination of Judy classics live. All my favourite big belters to sing out of Judy's classic canon
Yes.
of wonderful material. But also, it's also partly stuff that whilst I was making these videos, I started doing quite a lot of Judy ones because people sort of latched onto that and seemed to enjoy it and were saying,
Yeah.
oh, could you do another Judy? So I was like, with pleasure, I love doing it. And the group that Judy Garland experienced and people from that requested, they said, oh, they weren't Nessa from Gavin and Stacey. Oh, would you do some songs she never did? Oh, so you going? They asked me to do some songs that Judy Garland had never recorded in the style of as if she had. They were like, do you think you could do a version of Judy singing? And they sent me a bit of a list. A few people were like commenting.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that's fun, sure.
Yeah.
And so back in the dark days of the pandemic, I'd been doing this and like working with just phoning pianists up and saying, do you think you could maybe make me a track? Or finding karaoke tracks and trying to lower the key or like all sorts. And I'd done a few of these anyway. And Scott Stander, this fabulous agent producer, he'd seen some of these and said, I think we should do an album of those, of songs she didn't do as if she had.
Oh.
And so I was like, yes, please. Great.
Where do I sign?
yes, I'll do it. Right.
Yeah.
And we worked together. He got the wonderful Steve Orridge on board, who's the orchestrator who won a Grammy for orchestrating Jersey Boys. So he got I worked keep them in the eye of everyone and go, hey, remember, they're bloody
Yeah.
good. Listen to what
Yeah.
they did. Listen to this song. You
Mm.
know, Amy Winehouse wrote this, she did it. Let's hear it done a different way. And
Yeah.
it just keeps them still there and going, and their
Mm.
legacy's going. Yeah, so it's a mixture of those two things and some hopefully amusing chatter. I don't talk as Judy in the show necessarily. I'm not like being her
Okay.
the whole
Right.
way through.
Right.
Like I'm myself. I'm in a dress. I've got the wig, etc.
Yeah.
And I sit when I'm singing. I'm trying to be like her, but I didn't want to talk the whole way through as her. There'll be
Mm.
little flashes here and there,
Yeah.
but I think it's sort of nicer to have that mix, you know, so it
Yeah.
doesn't get sort of, I don't know. I don't want to say, I don't know. I'd feel, because I'm English, obviously, if I did the whole thing talking as her, it might be a bit eggy. I don't know, but
Mm. Yeah, I'm sure it works. I'm sure it works, the whole sort of concept that you've got there. And so, with regards to the voice of Judy, I mean, when did you think that you sounded like her? Was it you that thought you sounded like her, or did somebody pick up on it and then you've sort of worked and honed your voice to sound just like her? Was it a lot of work to make it like Judy?
yeah, I mean, I practiced
Mm.
definitely. And I mean, when I did this thing for my degree, that was that's when I did the most sort of studying. But I didn't have to study tons because it's, you know, through osmosis of just loving her and watching all her stuff anyway, it sort
Yeah,
of goes in there. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like you
yeah,
don't really have to learn certain songs. You know them because you've
yeah.
listened to them so much. They're in there already.
Mm.
It's when I was quite young. I was about 12. And like I say, I've always sung. I've always just sung around the house. I've really enjoyed it. My dad is a musician.
All right.
He's got a psychedelic rock band.
Oh,
So it's a
wow.
bit different from Judy Garland.
Yeah.
But, you know, singing and being musical and doing stuff has always been encouraged. And his mum, my grandma, who was the one who got me into Judy Garland and all the golden age of Hollywood stuff,
Yeah.
she was a brilliant pianist. And she loved singing. And it was when I was about 12, 11 or 12, I was just, you know, wandering around singing. And I think I started singing some stuff from Easter Parade, which is my favourite
Mm.
Judy film.
Mm.
And I realised I could do a sort of impression of her when I
Okay.
was, yeah, about 12 or 11.
Wow.
And I did it for my grandma. That was what it was. I was like, hey, Nana, listen to this.
Oh.
And I did a bit of Judy. And that was the first time I realized I could sort of do that. Because I
Mm.
mean, when I was 11, the first time I ever properly sang on a stage was at my primary school, and we used to do like an end of year
Mm. Yeah.
talent show or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And me and my friends decided we'd do a spoof of Stars in Their Eyes, which at the time in like the late
Yeah.
90s was very popular.
It's very
And I
popular.
was, yeah, my friend Almas, who's a, you know, young Muslim girl, was Matthew Kelly. we we stuck a grey wool on her chin to be like have his beard and stuff.
I love that.
There's her being Matthew Kelly going, hello everybody, welcome to Stars in Their Eyes. And I was Cher.
Oh,
So
right.
this
Okay.
was before I tried being Judy ever, but I was doing an impersonation. I was like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't class myself as an impersonator, by the way. I'd say I'm a singer who can do some
Mm.
voices.
Right. Okay.
But I was 11 and I got up on a stage all dressed up as Cher, and my dad had made me a backing track in his home studio. And I got up, you know, this little short fat thing, and went, does he love me? I want to know. And I think people were, what the hell is that? So I really enjoyed it. And I think that's
Yeah.
maybe had got singing like somebody else
Right.
into my head, maybe.
Mm.
So I think it was like that year or the year after that I was like, oh, I can sound a bit like her. That's fun.
Yeah.
As I say, I'd always loved Judy, so I did it for my grandma really. But then
Oh.
when my degree was happening and they said you can do whatever you want for this final bit, I just thought, well, what would I like to do? What would be my dream role? Ooh, I'd like to play Judy Garland because I can sing a bit like her and I love all those songs. And that would
Yeah.
be great fun. So that was when I really started studying to try and get the talking voice. I'd never tried talking like her before. And
No.
like really reading about her life in real depth to write this like one woman show that I did when I was 21.
Mm.
And then, you know, that was always there. I mean, I'd always been a fan, but there was that period where I was like properly hammering it for my degree.
Yeah.
And then that had always just stayed in there, you know. And when many years later, I mean, when the pandemic hit, I was what, 37, 38? No, younger, 36? I don't know, but whatever, late 30s.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, all right. And it's still sort of there. And I hone it, you know, I want to do her proud, you know.
Mm.
As a fan, I think I know how fans feel
Yeah.
as much as I can. You know, I don't want to talk for everybody, but I try and do everything with as much respect and sort of love for my subject as
Yeah.
I can. And I think it's important that I always try and keep listening to the source materials. It's no hardship because I love listening to her stuff and
Yeah.
watching her on telly and
Yeah.
on all of that. But it is important that I don't get I don't rest on my laurels or, you know, go, oh, I can do that. Nah. I
Mm.
always, you know, she's in my car all the time, not literally, but I'm in the CD, you know. That would be strange if she
Yeah,
was in
that'd be
my car.
weird.
Yeah. But, you know, I do really try and keep it up, the
Yeah.
properly listening to her all the time. I don't want to just rely on what I think is my impersonation, because
Mm.
I think sometimes you then become something else. You're like
Yeah.
copying a copy or whatever. I
Mm.
always try and really keep on it with always listening to her. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the film Judy that obviously Renee Zellweger was in, I remember going to the cinema to watch it and coming out feeling quite like I'd been punched in the stomach, quite frankly, because she had such a life. And I mean, you know, if you don't know of her, and I mean, I'm sure everybody does. I mean, she's iconic, but you know, to see it in that respect, I mean, you know, the singing voice from my point of view, it's so raw, and there's so much emotion in every song that she does. And I think perhaps that came from, you know, what sort of life she had. I mean, you know, her childhood and the whole Wizard of Oz thing. I mean, it was just like mind blowing that that even happened to a child back then, you know, with drugs and what have you. That's obviously,
Mm.
people know that's quite well documented. But I just thought, you know, that the emotion that she was able to bring to a stage was quite something else. And I think that's, you know, potentially because of the life she led. I mean, I don't know whether you agree with that.
I think it all goes in there, but I
Mm.
think, you know, even when she was very young, she still had this phenomenal voice.
Oh, it's
And,
incredible. Yeah.
you know, I don't know, there's a lot, I think with the film particularly as well, a lot of people tend to really focus on the sort of tragic
Yeah, I
aspects
guess
and the
so. Yeah.
misery. And I don't think that's the main or best thing about her. If you're
Mm.
gonna look at Judy, I think you should celebrate other stuff
Yeah.
more, like her
Yeah.
sense of humor. I
Mm.
did like how they did her talking in the film. I thought she captured that quite, you know, she was
Mm.
witty
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Um, I felt I would have preferred Renee to mime to actual Judy in the
Okay.
film, because I think the brilliance of Judy's actual voice wasn't maybe portrayed enough in the film. And I
Mm.
thought if people don't know her and they just see this film, they might be like, she's all right. And she's much better than that, you know.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't want to dish any shade on Renee Zellweger. You know, she did a good job and everything. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the singing, Judy's singing was brilliant, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Faultless.
think it was all, a lot of things in the film weren't completely accurate.
Mm.
It was dramatic, you know, it was dramatic
Yeah.
license, isn't it? It's a film.
Well, it
But
is.
I
Yeah.
think there's a lot more funny things, there's a lot more joyous
Mm.
aspects. You know, people, I've been lucky enough to talk to a lot of people in the last 4 years who did actually know her. And they all say like what a fun person she was to be around, how witty, how like lively. It
Mm.
wasn't all doom and gloom.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And
was.
I think it's a nice thing to look at, like the flip side of stuff. Like look at I think something brilliant to watch to get a real idea of her as an adult, not as, you know, the Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, but is when she appears on the Jack Parr show.
Okay.
They're all on YouTube. Judy
Yeah, yeah.
Garland being interviewed on Jack Parr, particularly in 1963 or 4, I think it's 4.
Yeah.
She's on top form. She's really funny. She's
Yeah.
great. And that's the sort of thing, that's the sort of side of her that I wish would be looked at more.
Yeah.
I think people don't know that side enough. It's, you
Yeah.
know, we all know she died too young and had drug
Mm.
problems, but I think, you know, look at the really great stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
there's plenty of that,
but
as you say, on, you know, on the
I
internet.
think, yeah, I agree with you though. I think a lot of her life experience obviously comes out in her
Mm.
voice and makes her be able to emote and
Yeah.
connect and really feel the feelings of all these fantastic songs that she did. You
Yeah.
know, I agree with you that it does come out. And
Mm.
there's sometimes, you know, later on in her career when her voice changed throughout. You know, the
Mm.
singing voice in The Wizard of Oz is very different to the singing voice in sort of mid 40s,
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Pirate or something. Is
Mm.
very different to the concert years. It's very different
Yeah.
to the later concert years. It really does change.
Mm.
And it's, I think sometimes some of the later ones when there is that sort of more crackle and it's a bit more wavering,
Mm.
sometimes that is more effective. Sometimes it does get you a bit more, you know,
Yeah.
like her performance of The Music That Makes Me Dance, that when she did at the London Palladium with Liza,
Yeah.
her version of that I think's fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's not as smooth and as clear or as clean as it maybe was in the 40s or as Barbara Streisand does it. But I
Mm.
love Judy's version of it because it's got that bit of her. You believe that she's
Sure.
suffered and she's come through and you can hear it. And I
Yeah, yeah.
agree with you that having lived really does give more to it. It
It
gives
does.
certain performances more gravitas. You know, like later on performances, like when she does How Insensitive. Oh, I love that she's older and singing that with a bit
Mm.
more life in, well, not life in her voice, but a bit more I have lived in her voice, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
I think
exactly. Exactly.
you've got such a wide range of her stuff to listen to get different things from it.
Yeah.
So, like her version of Embraceable You from, I think, the late 30s, that's in Girl Crazy, is
Yeah.
beautiful in a completely different way because she can manipulate that voice. She can go so high, and it's that really,
Mm.
maybe it's early 40s. She can do such sort of vocal gymnastics, and it's so smooth and clean, and you're like, wow, that's brilliant,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
totally different way to her whamming out The Man That Got Away in the 50s when
Yeah.
she's had suicide attempts and this and that and
Mm.
illnesses and
Yeah.
comebacks, and it's you know, you get loads of stuff from her.
Yeah, yeah.
she
Well,
she gives you
it's
good
her
value for
talent.
money,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's the talent, isn't it, of somebody like that that can do all of that and
Yeah,
deliver time after time. But thank you for having a chat. I mean, it's been lovely. I think this show sounds fantastic. I'll put a clip up next of you belting out a tune on the next
thank
slide,
you.
which I'm sure everybody will love to see. And of course, people can look you up on the internet as well to see some of these song a day videos. That'd be great.
Yeah,
But
please do. They're on
yeah.
YouTube. I'm sorry, I've spoken more about Judy Garland than myself.
That's okay. That's
But you know, you
okay.
feel a twit going,
That's
come and see
okay.
me, but please do come and see me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the 30th of June is the day at the Ambassadors Theatre in the West End of London. So I hope it goes really well for you and good luck for everything that is to come for you. I'm sure it'll,
Well,
I'm
thank you
sure it
very
goes.
much. I mean, I'm a huge Judy Garland fan, obviously,
Yes.
and I am singing as her, but I do like singing as me as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
You know,
sure.
it's
Yeah,
not
yeah, of course.
the only thing. I mean, this is what this is. This is a
Mm,
show for her.
yeah.
But, you know, I do like doing other stuff as well. You know, I am me too.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
mean like me too, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, we'll keep an eye out on the internet for you to see what else you're going to come up with this
Well,
fantastic
hopefully,
voice of yours. Yeah,
who knows?
absolutely. But thanks so much for having a chat today, and good luck with everything.
Oh, thank you so much for having me
You're
on.
welcome.
And yeah, if anyone's around and available to come, it's the theatre next door to where the Mousetrap is, opposite
Yes.
the Ivy,
Oh,
where I
nice.
went with my grandma when I was 11. First time I
Oh.
ever wore contact lenses, because my nana was Adamant's favourite teacher at school,
Oh, that's a good
and
claim to fame.
yeah, she's on a YouTube documentary
I wish.
called "The Madness of Prince Charming" that they made about
Wow.
him.
Oh,
It
wow.
was a Channel 4 documentary, but it's on YouTube now.
Yeah, yeah.
And she passed away a long time ago, but it's really lovely to be able to
Oh,
see
that's
her talking
yeah.
on there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that would be quite surreal for me to be directly opposite the Ivy being on, when I've got like these memories of
Yeah.
going to the Ivy aged 11 to meet Adamant with my gran
That's
and my
exciting.
mum and dad. And
Yeah.
I'd never worn contact lenses before, and I walked into a waiter because I couldn't see and I was dying of embarrassment. And yeah, so it feels a bit mad being back there now,
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
a
I'm sure
long
it'll be
time
fantastic.
later.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. No, I'm sure it will be absolutely fantastic. So I will pop the details up on the next slide. And anybody that wants to get booking, they can do. So good luck with it.
Well, thank you ever so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Cheers, you too.
Bye.
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 Somewhere